I made one fix that tripled my e-commerce revenue in just 2 months, but at the same time, I went from doing 60-hour weeks to managing my store in less than an hour a day, and I was able to travel the world. So in this video, I'll explain exactly how that one fix made all of the difference. I've got everything laid out in this board for you to just copy and input into your business. But the problem we need to identify that you will have reached, or you will reach at some point, is your growth will stall if you can't get this fix correct. Because even if you've got the perfect store setup and you've refined your funnel to generate sales for your ecom brand, something will be wrong. There'll be a plateau when your traditional growth strategies will start to slow down, and we need to look beyond the marketing tactics. Because what a lot of people think is that the fix to your plateau, or when you feel like you need to generate more income from your business, you'll think, oh, there must be a marketing hack that I'm missing. There must be something that I need to do to implement into my business that we can start generating more income. But the reality is, what's upstream from the marketing hacks and improving your income generation is that you need to be able to spend time doing the income generation. So the missing leverage point that I installed into my business was that I needed to get out of day-to-day operations. I needed to get those handled by somebody else so that I could operate on the income generating tasks. If you are still in the habit of doing marketing strategy after marketing strategy, take a step back and realize there's something bigger than just marketing strategies. Now, what I did was put a virtual assistant on board that will run your store to free your time so that you can have truly impactful work. You'll reclaim hours every week, but only a great VA will do this. Because the key to this video now is that there is a big difference. Not all virtual assistants are created equal. Some will be good and some will be great virtual assistants. And it is a huge difference. If you get a good VA, they'll follow instructions, they'll do exactly as trained. However, they will just move on to the next task. They won't improve the situation. Whereas if you find a great VA, they'll create value, they'll see opportunities, they'll identify patterns, they'll suggest improvements and build customer loyalty, ultimately scaling your business while you do less work. And this was the biggest fix. I got a great VA on board and I tripled my e-commerce revenue. And I've done it for multiple clients now as well. So your path to grow in a way that's stress-free, but also to increase your revenue quickly, is to spot exceptional talent, be able to hire that exceptional talent, and then measure the bottom line impact. So in this video now, we're going to go through all of those steps. First of all, I'll show you how to spot the exceptional VAs. Then I'll explain how you can actually hire and get these people into your business. And then I'll show you how the bottom line will be impacted and how you can measure that. So first of all, let me show you the difference, which is huge, between a good VA and a great VA. I'm going to show you now a direct comparison of how a good VA handles a return request versus how a great VA handles a return request. Firstly, you can see we've both received the same email from the same customer asking for a return of a trampoline because when they've attached the netting, it's too large than what they've expected, and they've sent us a photo. Now, first of all, we're going to do what a good VA would do, and the good VA would receive this return request email. They would look at their SOP, which is a simple SOP. It's been the same that's been given to both VAs, and they would just go ahead, ask their questions, and complete the process. So they go across to Shopify, find the order details, complete the return, create the return there. They'd then go back, send this response back to the customer to explain to them that they're very sorry that the situation has happened, that they have proceeded with the response. They change the name, order number, and amount, and get that sent off to say thank you very much. We've dealt with your return. And then they go ahead and add this details to the return tracking sheet. They enter in the date, the order number, the name, the product name, the refund amount, and the date refunded. And they complete all those details. And they've completed this worksheet, they've done the returns tracker, and they're happy and confident they've completed this return request. Now, over to how a great VA would handle with the exact same email. They've been told trampoline has arrived, so what they're going to do is go to their enhanced SOP, because a great VA takes on their SOP that was given before, but they've enhanced it to make sure they're going to provide the best possible service. They'll send out an email straight away back to the customer within 5 minutes to explain that they've received the return request and that they're on the case. And the difference with this email that they send back with the SOP within 5 minutes is that they've explained that they've understood that they would like to return the request, but they're going to ask more details first. They're going to find out What is it we actually need to know about the product to find out why have you decided to return it so we can improve the situation. So they send that. They'd then start troubleshooting. So they'd ask the customer, have you tried moving the net by this much? Or have you tried installing this to make it easier? Or have you tried orienting the trampoline a different way? Asking helpful questions, but always never feeling like they're in control. And if the customer wants to proceed with the return, then they can do. Now, if they wish to return, we're going to approve it. We're going to do the same process where we'll do that in Shopify, where we'll process the return, and they'll make sure they've created the return there, which won't take long for them to complete. But afterwards, after they've completed the return, what they'll also do now is update a knowledge base. They'll be keeping a general product FAQ doc together, and all of the different return reasons or questions that customers might have that have prevented this in the future, they're going to add that to their product FAQs. So for example, if they get a question, or if they need to know how to help people with the size of the frame, they would add that into the FAQs. And then they would ask me or the business owner if they would like to add this to the product page as well, to make sure that no future customers have the same issue. Then to finish off, they would notify the team, send a message in Slack, explain what's happened, explain the return, explain the actions that they've taken to prevent it from happening again, and then they would follow up with the customer. The whole time they would update this return tracker. But the difference with a good VA to a great VA is that the great VA has also added a lot more columns into this return tracker to help them with the next return, or to help prompt them as to how they can improve this for the next time. So they keep a track of the reason for return. They keep track of whether the FAQ was updated. They keep track of notes. They'll add a date to when they're going to follow up the customer to find out if they're back in the market for a new product and find a better solution for them. And the whole process is much smoother. They've sent a Slack message to the team, so we're in the know, and they've handled this return in a completely different way from the way that a good VA would do it. So you've seen the difference it makes when you have a great VA versus a good VA. But what is it specifically that we're looking for that differentiates a great VA from a good VA? Well, proactivity. They'll do things on their own without needing to be told all the time. They'll communicate clearly. If anything, they'll over communicate, make sure they're absolutely clear on what they're doing and that you're clear on what they're doing as well. They'll be adaptable when things inevitably go wrong. They'll be accurate and won't be making tons of mistakes. And they'll be a culture fit. Their personality will fit into what you're trying to build. And this is key, and it often gets overlooked. Initially, proactivity is something that I think people understand. They don't want to be there all the time telling their VAs what to do. So make sure that they're anticipating, that they're identifying issues, and they're making process improvements without you having to tell them. We need the communication to be absolutely on point, because when the communication's on point, they're clear. You know what they're doing, and how they're getting on with each of the tasks that they're doing. They'll have a professional tone, and they'll be using your communication tools, whether that's Slack, Gmail, in the best possible way. Now, adaptability is something that I always hire for, because in a business, something's going to go wrong. Most days, there'll be something that hasn't quite worked out, a new customer issue that we've not come across before. So we need to make sure they can adapt to this quickly. So they're the type of people that can adapt quickly. If you can see that they can onboard quickly, if they're able to get on board with tools, and we can do this part of the interview process, we can find out how good they are at being adaptable. And I'll show you that interview process shortly in this video. We need to make sure they can pick up SOPs, because we want to set them processes. But the key is that when we give them a process, they're able to enhance it to make sure that they're the best possible process to follow. And they're good at problem solving. They embrace when difficult things happen. Another way to spot a great VA is that they'll have a culture fit. And so they're not just great people in terms of the skills and the tools that they can use, but they come up to your team, they show enthusiasm, they align with whatever your values are for your company. They want to work together with a team, and they'll actually strengthen the way that your brand is perceived when they are a great culture fit. And finally, accuracy. Something that can go wrong if you get the wrong VA is you can have mistakes. They can be inaccurate with the information that they give to your customers. So we need people with this fine attention to detail, which moves me on nicely to the way that we hire this great VA. Now we know what to look for. We know what a great VA looks like. How do you actually find a great VA? Well, I've got a VA hiring toolkit, which I will share with you if you send me a DM on Instagram. I've got my Instagram link in the description of this video. So send me a message. But now let me show you exactly, step by step, how I'll go about finding a great VA using this VA hiring toolkit. So let's find a great VA. I'm going to walk you through how I do this process. And first of all, we've gone to onlinejobs.ph. I'm logged into my account. We're going to go ahead and click post a job. And we'll see here now the fields that we need to fill out to find a virtual assistant. Now, the reason I use onlinejobs.ph is because it's specifically looking for Filipino workers who I've always found to be fantastic virtual assistants, very cheerful, very enthusiastic, great English, and very professional with this type of role. So I use this, and also they're perfect to find long-term workers, which is what we want to find when we hire a virtual assistant. We want them to stay long-term. So now we need to fill out job title, type of employment, job description. We need to find out, entering the wage that they're going to be getting, and the skills that we're looking to hire for. Now, I've done all this. I've got a template ready to go, so I don't need to do this from scratch. I've got a VA hiring toolkit, and if you want me to send this to hire your great VA, then simply send me a DM on Instagram. The link is in the description, and I'll send you these resources straight away. So when you get these resources, you can see that I've already got a template all set up for hiring customer service, and that is the type of person that we're looking to hire today. And I have a job post template that we're going to use to first of all put together the job post template. So as you can see, I've got a template, all of the red text here we need to fill out in order to make it specific to our company and the job that we're hiring for. And I'm always going to make sure that I'm adding in an optional fun instruction to get VAs to show themselves as either great versus good. So a great VA has great attention to detail. So we need to include in this job post something that's going to separate the people with great attention to detail. So they'll do something that others will miss if they don't read through the job post properly. So inside the job post, hide something like type the word pineapple, or send me a photo of a cow, something to get them to stand out. Now, I've done a customer service one already, and it's for a e-commerce business running in the UK and working 9 to 5 hours Monday to Friday. So I've got this all ready to go, this job post here. I've already asked everything that I need to ask in here, ready to put into the job post. And also I have my little Easter egg, if you like, which is the photo of a carabao, which is the national animal of the Philippines. And that's all ready to go. I'm asking for their key responsibilities. I'm explaining what their experience and skills are going to be required, the soft skills that we're looking for as well culturally, and then also everything we need for them to apply. And notice that the Easter egg is not in that section, because what a good VA would do is they would scan this, go straight to the how to apply and complete these actions. But a great VA will read everything through in detail, notice this instruction, and do that as well as the other steps. So I've copied that all through. We can now put this into the job description, because that's all ready to go with all the details. I would obviously tidy up the asterisks. We don't need all that in. And intro paragraph, for example, I can get rid of these details and make it all look formatted properly. But for the sake of this, you get the point. You can see here, I've already been looking for a different job, so it's already ready to go. So talented virtual assistant required is a job title that I'd go for. Full-time. The wage/salary per month is going to be in the region of $500 to $700 a month based on the hourly rate. So for a customer service VA, you'd expect them to start on somewhere between $3.50 an hour all the way up to $4.50, $5 an hour, depending on their level of experience, and you can pay more or less. But I've found great VAs hiring at this pay for the month. Desired number of hours per week is going to be full-time, so 40, 5 days a week with 8 hours, and your email address and name. And then the skills that we're looking for customer service. If they've got some e-commerce experience, that's even better. And then we're just going to ask it to send a daily email for the job post applications. We're going to go ahead then and click post job, and that is your job posted. It's so quick because we've got that prompt already. And you can see now we've posted this job successfully, and we're going to start getting applicants coming through. Then after about 24 hours to 48 hours, wait until you've got a decent number of applicants, and you'll start to see responses like this. People have seen the job ad that I've put out. They've sent the photo of a carabao, or they've sent a link to it, the Dropbox here, so you can check out if they provided this Easter egg. And this is an example of a potential great VA, because as you can see, carabao image, drum roll please, is there added for everyone to see. They've got good attention to detail. And then they've also provided the detail of their experience. They've then provided the voice recording, the internet speed, the grammar test, then they've completed the 5 brands that we've requested as well. And so this person is a potential great fit. So now what we're going to do is shortlist the people who are great fits, potential great VAs that have done all the things we've asked for, ignore the rest, and send this response to everyone that meets the first criteria because they've completed all of the requirements. I'm going to ask them now to do a sample task with 2 different scenarios so they can see how good they are at responding to these typical questions. So for example, the first scenario is that an order has been received with damage. The second scenario is that a customer has placed an order, but the product is out of stock, and I'd like to see their responses. And then let's see what they come back with. Now let's have a look at their response. Definite potential for a great VA here because they've come back with answers to both scenarios and they provide detailed responses of how they would deal with every scenario. They're showing empathy, they've got good English, they probably use AI to help them out, but that's fine because they've got the job done and they've responded to both requests here, both professionally done. Now, next step then is for this person, because they've passed phase 2, they've passed phase 1, we're going to now send them an invite to jump on an interview. And on the interview, I can check for the culture fit, find out what they're like as a person, and see if they're going to be great. But that's the process. On the interview, I've got my interview questions all ready to go to find out what they're like, how they're going to work in the store, really just find out their experience, the tools that they've been using, and give them an idea of what the job's going to be like so we can both get a fit for how they fit for the job, and then I can walk away and make a decision. I'll have 3 or 4 people on an interview, and one will stand out as the winner. And that's the whole hiring process, start to finish, and we'll get off on the right foot with a potential fantastic VA. Now, I followed that process multiple times, and every time it finds me a rock star virtual assistant, whether I'm putting that virtual assistant into my business or if I'm implementing it into another e-commerce business owner's business, these virtual assistants will outperform the ones that they've had previously, or they'll just be the best VA they could have wished for a first VA, because I'm working with e-com owners. Sometimes it's the first VA they hire, but every step of that process is strategically thought through to get the best possible virtual assistant on board so we can scale and the VA and the founder can actually take a step back from the day to day. So let's look at what the bottom line impact of this is. Because what you might be thinking is, okay, it's great to have a virtual assistant on board so I'm more free, but will this actually make me more money? Will this actually have an impact on the bottom line? Well, let me answer that first of all with my own story before explaining what's happened with clients of mine. So I brought on my first ever VA, and within the first 2 months of them working with me, my revenue tripled. Triple revenue. I think I was stuck at about the 30K mark, and I tripled to about 80K at my peak just 2 months later, in a month, at 80K in a month, because I was able to hire a virtual assistant that freed me up so I could put more money into ad spend, put more focus into my marketing, and it made a massive difference to my business. Now, what this also had an impact not only on the money, but also on time, is that before I was working all hours of the week to make sure that my store would run, that I'd upload my own products, look after customers, fulfill orders, and I was spending hours and hours every week managing my store. When I had a VA on board after the VA, my time was reduced right down to a minimum of just overseeing and actually just making sure they were following the right processes. And that's because I have a great VA from the start. But not only for me, also for my clients, the people that I've worked with to implement VAs into their business and put systems in place. The ROAS for my one client has gone from 10 to 45. So listen to what he had to say.
We went from doing around 10 to 15 ROAS on our Google ads. So we've got that up to, I think it's 45, tripling our profit.
So just amazing to be able to triple your profit in a few months because of the right VA being on board. Also, aside from just the money side of things, also the time, the headspace. He went from doing everything himself to actually just needing to work on his business for a few hours a week to keep it maintained. Listen to what he said about his level of focus now.
Yeah, I can just sit and focus without any distractions. And that's always been the real key.
And for my other client, listen to what he messaged me on WhatsApp. So my other client, he's able to spend time abroad now with his family. He's been in Mallorca, and he's talking here about his VA being very busy because he's been away. But it's been all good because she's been able to handle the store, and he didn't have any VAs just a few weeks before this moment. He's now able to spend time with his family, spend time abroad, because his store is being operated by virtual assistants, but crucially by great virtual assistants. So now you can have this all run, and you can have your store run completely by VAs, as long as you follow that process and listen to what Adam had to say about the bottom line, where he's now able to spend weekends where he can switch off.
I'm going to be around, but like we said, this is the first weekend where I've actually felt I could kind of take a step back. I didn't really work at all this weekend and it's felt really nice. So I just want to share my appreciation for all of you. Honestly, I do really appreciate it. I had like days where I could just, I could step back for an hour. I just like slept lots weekend, went for some walks. It was really nice. I needed it.
So the results are huge, not just for my business, but also for the people that I've worked with from a financial point of view and from a headspace and time point of view. So I hope this has shown you what to look for, the difference between a good and great VA, how to find a VA, and then the difference it will make when you do it. If you feel inspired, if you want to go ahead and make this difference and implement it into your business to see the same results, then what I'd recommend, the first thing you do is message me and I can send you all of the resources that I've got that I've shared on the video today. So send me a message, DM on Instagram, and we'll go through and I'll show you the resources that I use. Get those all into your business and you can work on and make the same difference to your revenue and also the time that you've got to scale. With that said, I'll speak to you with a message on Instagram soon. I hope you've enjoyed the video today and I'll catch you in the next one.